Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today is my week 11 pregnancy update. There is quite a bit to update on this time. I did go for my first appointment with my midwife on Friday, and I actually just got back from the first ultrasound today as well. And I also realized that even though I talked about being sick in the last video, I didn't really talk about any of my food cravings or aversions. So I'm gonna add that in because they're pretty much still the same as what they've been since pretty much the beginning. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So baby is the size of about a Brussels sprout or a lime, which to me seems like a really big size difference. So I'm not sure which site is right, but I'm gonna go more on a Brussels sprout because a lime just seems too big for right now for 11 weeks. Maybe it's more like, it's probably more the length than like the diameter and stuff like that, like the crown to rump kind of length. But still, I think a Brussels sprout probably sounds more accurate. Baby can also have hiccups at this point already. I can't believe it. And Nathan and I were talking in the car on the way back from the ultrasound, just how fast a baby develops. Like from week 6, because we had an ultrasound at week 6 with our first, with Aaron, because I had a little bit of spotting in the beginning. So, I mean, we got an ultrasound super early with him, and it was literally like a dot with like a little tail on it at that point. Like, I don't even think the placenta really starts to form at that point. And then 5 weeks later, and your baby has fingers and toes, the webbing is disappearing, the eyes are almost fully formed, your baby has a diaphragm, and they're hiccuping in 5 weeks time. Like, so much growth happens in that first trimester, like so quickly. It's just amazing. There's really no other word to describe it besides just wonderful and amazing. We got to hear the baby's heartbeat, except a total mom fail. I didn't ask how many beats per minute it was. So I want to do a little compilation of a bunch of like old wives' tales and gender predictors and things like that, just for fun to kind of see what they all predict this baby would be before the official anatomy results. But so that one can't be included now. Unless maybe next time, I don't know, we'll see with the Doppler if that would make a difference. I know it's like a certain period of time, the beats per minute is like, they say it's the same for girls and boys, and then at a certain time it kind of divides. I don't know, all of my kids were pretty much the same, so I don't know that it would be a determining factor for my kids, but you know, it's still fun. Where was I going with this? Anyways, yeah, lots of growth happening. Supposedly, I'm supposed to start feeling better soon because the placenta is going to start taking over nourishment of baby. So supposedly by the end of this week, I'm supposed to start feeling better, which I'm really holding on to and claiming. With Samuel, who he was probably my most difficult pregnancy sickness wise, and that lasted all the way to 14 weeks until the first trimester was like totally over, and like even a little bit into the second trimester. But I'm not as sick as I was with Samuel, so I'm hoping that this resolves sooner rather than later, because I really want to be able to enjoy food again. And I think that it's mainly like the feeling of nausea all day long. It's like there's this bad taste in the back of my throat and I can't get rid of it, like, and everything triggers this nasty bitter taste, which like results in the feeling of nausea constantly. And like while I'm eating, it's not there, so like while I'm eating it's all good, but then as soon as I'm done eating or chewing, it comes back, and then all the food that I've eaten just kind of tastes gross. Speaking of food, some aversions. Chicken nuggets are temporarily banned in our house, and Nora loves chicken nuggets, like this girl lives on them. But I had to ban them temporarily and substitute it with chicken and rice soup for her, because the smell of those chicken nuggets, I can't handle it. I just can't. Changing diapers is difficult, but you know, I try and breathe through the mouth, which is kind of hard to do when you can't plug your nose because you kind of need two hands, but I try, you know, and thankfully, you know, Nathan's really great. If he's home, he'll take it over. And one day I actually called him and I was like, are you gonna be home at 4 or are you working late tonight? And he was like, oh, I'm working late tonight. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can't let Sam wait that long to change it. If you were gonna be home in 5 minutes, I'd let him wait for a second for you to change him, but that's a little long, so I'll suck it up and do it. But yeah, it's real. The smell aversions are real. As far as things that I'm craving, I don't know that they're necessarily cravings, just like what can I tolerate. I've been eating a lot of baked potatoes, noodles, macaroni and cheese, like anything that's super carby. I have been indulging in some of the Reese cup pumpkins because, guys, it's October and those things are amazing. They have the perfect ratio of peanut butter and chocolate to it. Anyways, that's beside the point. They're just delicious. So I have had a couple of those if I'm feeling super, the little ones, like I get that pack of the bunch of little ones, so I'll have like that if I need something before I go to sleep to kind of just ward off the nausea. I've eaten a lot of fried rice, like hibachi rice, and their salads with the ginger dressing, those actually taste good too. Which leads me to my next pregnancy symptom. It's either, you know, constipation or the opposite of constipation when it comes to those sorts of things. TMI, sorry, you know, you get a lot of TMI in pregnancy updates and pregnancy vlogs. So, you know, yes, there is the aspect of glowing, pretty pregnant, but there's also the dark side as well. And, you know, it's just all a part of it. So, you know, it's either one or the other. There's really no in between, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I've noticed too lately, like pressure put on it, or like, you know, like when I used the wand today in the ultrasound, because I had an abdominal ultrasound, you know, it was just kind of annoying that there was something touching and pushing on my stomach. So I guess my uterus is getting to that size now where it's just getting irritated if it's pressed on. Well, it is getting bigger. I can feel it now, kind of. It's like it feels swollen, and so there's not comfort there if like Sam lays on it or one of the kids climbs on top of me. I'm like, oh no, she kind of shifts to the side, you know, that sort of a thing. So the ultrasound today, it was fairly quick. Baby is growing just like he or she should be. My estimated due date based on my last period was April 29th, and baby was measuring for a due date of April 28th. So my original due date based on my last menstrual period of April 29th stands. They only change that if it's a certain distance apart, measurement-wise. That's the closest, I think, measurement-wise and estimated due date have ever been for me with any of my pregnancies. So that was kind of cool. The first ultrasound, there's always a little bit of nerves going into it, like anxious, excited nerves, like it's the first time that you're seeing it, and you know, all this time, like you felt all of these things like you're pregnant, or sometimes you don't feel like you're pregnant, but there's no like hard evidence proof. I mean, there is hard evidence proof in the sense that you haven't had your period, but you know, you have something to show for it besides, like you have the stick and everything like that, but to physically see or hear the heartbeat, or you know, to see the baby on the screen, that just really makes it all real. And it's like, okay, my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. Like, I'm really pregnant. This is a profile picture of the baby, and there's a little hand waving in the background. So yeah, so that's cool to see. So the other thing that I did today for fun, to kind of go along with the gender predictions, and I'll make a separate video of all of the gender predictions together, but there are early ultrasound predictors. There's 3 theories. There's the Ramsey theory, if I'm saying it correctly, there's the skull theory, and there's the nub theory. So I submitted our ultrasound pictures for 2 out of those 3 early ultrasound detectors. And it's just for fun. It's not guaranteed accurate or anything like that. But they do have fairly high success rates once they're confirmed. The Ramsey method has to do with the location of the placenta. The skull method has to do with like the size and markers in the skull, whether it's a boy or girl. And then the nub theory has to do with, I guess, that there's always, there's like a piece of the genitals that you can see early on, but it's not fully developed. But the theory is that if it's in line with the spine, then it's a girl, and if it's like at an angle, if the nub is at an angle of greater than 30 degrees, then it's a boy. So I submitted the ultrasound pictures, and the experts are going to pick 2 of the 3 that they think that they could best determine. And so I'm actually supposed to know in like 24 to 48 hours apparently, but it was like only 14 bucks, and I was like, let's have fun with it. Let's see what they say. We'll include that in the video of all the old wives' tale predictors and things like that. So I thought that'd be fun. At my midwife appointment on Friday, they took somewhere around 6 vials of blood, I think. I had just had my yearly blood work done for my annual exam back in August, so I didn't need as much blood drawn as I might normally have needed. My vitamin D was low, which big whoop, like vitamin D is always low for people who live in Ohio, but it was actually kind of super low. So I do have to go on supplements for the vitamin D. She was able to get me these prenatals that are like super small. I have MTHFR, which is a genetic mutation sort of thing. I don't have, like, there's a bunch of different types of MTHFR that you can have. I don't have the most severe, and I don't have the least severe. I'm like kind of in the middle. I'm compound heterozygous MTHFR. So with that, basically your body doesn't break down or process folic acid in its state as folic acid, because folic acid is actually a synthetic version of folate, and so I can't take vitamins that have folic acid in them because it's kind of pointless, because my body is not breaking down the folic acid. So I have to have folate in my prenatals, and originally I was taking like a natural prenatal vitamin and taking the folate separately. All the prenatals that have folate or folic acid in them have folic acid, not folate usually. But this particular prenatal that she had, it's like a mini one, did have folate in it. So she was able to prescribe it for me, and it's a lot smaller, so it'll be a lot easier for me to swallow and take, especially with feeling nauseous. And then along with that, she does have me take an aspirin, a low dose aspirin as well, because sometimes MTHFR can be connected to clotting disorders, although there's like a lot of research that it might not be that anymore. But when I was pregnant with Samuel, I did go to the high-risk doctor and just to get some more blood work done, because I didn't know that I had MTHFR with Aaron and Nora, and everything thankfully worked out okay, because MTHFR could lead to miscarriages and things like that. But I was fortunate that I was able to carry to term and no issues with either of them. But when I found out, you know, obviously I wanted to err on the side of caution, because even if you do carry to term in subsequent pregnancies, you can have issues if it's not addressed. So, but it didn't affect anything with Samuel. I took the low-dose aspirin, and the high-risk doctor actually said that he suggests it for a lot of pregnant women anyways, regardless of their risk factors. And he even recommends it after birth as well, if it's okay with the pediatrician. So I found that interesting. When I had my blood tested back in August, my cholesterol was high, which is not abnormal for me. We have high familial cholesterol in my family. My grandma was in the 600s. My aunt was in the 400s. I was like 250, 247 when my blood was drawn in August. But my triglycerides were great, so that shows that it's, you know, familial, but still, obviously there's nothing I can do about it now because I'm pregnant, and pregnancy throws cholesterol out of whack anyways, so it's going to be high now, which I was actually pregnant when I saw her then, but like not detectable pregnant, so I wonder if that made a difference. I'll have to ask her. I don't know, but regardless, I can't really do anything about it now except, you know, just continuing to watch the fried foods, and exercise will bring up the good cholesterol. But it's something that I'm used to because it's just, it runs in the family, and I've had high cholesterol ever since I was a kid. It is what it is, and just do the best that you can. did my blood work. She did some, I had to leave a urine sample, and then she did the swabs as well. And what I love about going to a midwife is that, you know, you don't just go and they do the appointment, and some OBs are like this, so I don't want to slight OBs who are like this either, but I haven't had that experience. Like, she explains everything and that she's doing and why she's doing it, and it was actually kind of cool too, because you know, she had to go in and do the swabs, and she did this with Samuel too, but she was like, do you want to see, because Nathan went with me, and she's like, do you want to see your wife's cervix? And he was like, yeah, that would be really cool. And so she's just explaining how, you know, your cervix looks different when you're pregnant, and how you can tell if someone's had children before based on the shape of their cervix or how their cervix looks. And it's so cool, you know, it's really cool to just really understand how amazing your body is. And so that's what I love about going to a midwife. You know, she explains everything, she goes into detail about everything, you know, and she'll answer like as many questions as you have. I think that pretty much covers it for the week 11 update. I really can't think of anything else. I guess the last thing to do is the belly shot. Okay, so from the front, it's the belly, and from the side, and with the shirt up, you're starting to get a little bit of a firmer belly there, not so much just bloaty and gas. So that's it for today's video, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.